Milo, 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 oh. Milo, Milo, goodness. Oh, my baby, it's my baby heart. Oh, you're such a silky, aren't you? You're so silky. The kittens are big now, huh? Look how big the kittens are now. You're so big now. You're so big now. Oh. Just come out of the full moon ceremony and the kittens went bonkers in here. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I should have learnt from last time to close the door. So next time maybe I will remember that, right? So say hi when you're here, guys. Let me know where you're from if this is the first time watching my live stream. My name is Hannah from Reality Awareness. You might already know me if you've been here before. So that was Milo, my beautiful kitten of one of 4 kittens. One of 4. Let me just share this and I shall be present. Got a pretty interesting topic that I want to talk about tonight, which is the 250k months I have been playing too small. But it's not that I've been playing too small, I hadn't let myself step into that. And with this really intense energy around, I really have some interesting information to share around this, because this whole like energy now, like this past week or so, so back in April last year, hang on a sec, let me talk to this, let me speak to this, 2 seconds. Just gotta share this first, so important. Super important that people hear this message, because this is really important too from an energy perspective of what's going on right now, what's clearing out, and what we're really stepping into, right? It's so important. So important. Yeah, my hand tattoo, this one as well. It's pretty, huh? Well, I think it's pretty. And that is all that matters. So, yeah, so right now, this energy is a big clear out of the eclipses from back in April. So April, you know, it was April, May last year, there was the 3 eclipses that happened in the eclipse season then. And if you think back to April, May last year, is really, for me, it was really intense. For me, it was really, really dark. That energy around that time, it was really, really dark. It was like big dark mother clear out, you know, like that. The eclipses around that time were just, yeah, they were intense, right? And so the energy now, right, as I always talk about this 9 to 10 month birthing cycle. You've heard me talk about the 18-month healing cycle. Well, obviously at the start of it is this 9 to 10 months of the first leg of the birthing cycle, and then there's 18-month point. So right now it's like tailing off and finishing off, and it is a Virgo full moon. We just come out of the full moon ceremony. It is that tailing off and clearing up and cleaning up of the energy that opened up in the portal back on April, May of last year, right? So if you think back to April, May last year, what correlation to April, May last year is now going on now, right? And, you know, like I've been conscious of that, of all of, you know, like this past week or two, right? And it came through really strongly this week, and I meant to put it in my blog and I forgot. But obviously, because I need to talk about this now as well. And, you know, like this whole big piece around like 250k months, like today, and I really want to speak to this, this is so important. So today, obviously right now, the time of this recording is the full moon. Like we're like in the peak of the full moon. We've just come out of the peak of the full moon, actually, because we did that over the ceremony. And in the peak of the full moon, like all today, like there's been people messaging saying that they woke up crying, or they've been, it's a really hard day, they just wanted to stay in bed all day. Like there's a big clearing out of energy at the moment, and it's deeply relational to the Dark Mother grid that opened that deep portal back in April. We had another kind of taste of it in October, and then now is like the 9-10 months of it, right? So in this point, it's shifting out that deep, deep, dark, unconscious stuff. Yeah, it's that real, real deep, dark, unconscious stuff. Now, the piece about the 250K months, for me, I was like shifted again today. And like, I've been playing too small, but in my mind, I haven't been. It's kind of interesting, right? And I feel like this whole big reality shift, pun intended, has literally been around like birthing through the releasing of the Dark Mother grid, releasing through the like darkness of that dark level of like stuff on the planet, right? Like it's really unlocked something deep in our subconscious. Remember a couple of weeks ago, like I said, you know, it's like right now is like, if I could describe the energy, it's like a sieve, you know, that we sieve our rice or veggies in, yeah. It's like a sieve going through our body, our aura, all of that, and literally like pulling out the trauma in that, yeah. So Lee says last 2 weeks have been super heavy. Belinda says yes, I've been feeling that today. Yeah, it's really intense, right? And you know what's interesting is because for me that April, May, when I was down in Victoria, when I was off grid and stuff at that time, it was so dark. It was like the most darkest, heaviest, full-on experience of my life, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. Off grid, no, not even running water, let alone all the stuff I was facing in relationship dynamics with everyone, like just no, right? And so when I left there, if you've been following me, you know my story. So when I left there, then I went to Warrnambool in Victoria, and I was there for 6 weeks. And it's kind of interesting because the entire trip, the entire journey, like, yeah, I got in the car and I escaped lockdown, and there were so many reasons why I got in the car that day and drove for 5 months on the road, right? What ended up being 5 months. Kind of rewind from that again. And like I originally said to the universe at Christmas in 2019, I was like, okay, universe, help me clear out any block that is blocking my first 100K month, like clear out any block. And then lo and behold, here we go, like here's like all these road trips facing this level of darkness. And I was so conscious that I knew that's what I was clearing out, like deep in the subconscious. And it was so interesting in our full moon ceremony tonight. It was like clearing the subconscious in a way that I've never done before. Like it was next level what happened through full moon ceremony tonight. It was DNA activations. It was very, very powerful in there tonight. And in like that clear out down in Victoria, I knew there were so many things. I knew that one of them was that I was clearing out that level of darkness in my reality, in my vibration, in my body, and all of that I hadn't faced for all that time, right? Like it was something I hadn't, it was time. And I asked the universe, I'm like, what's blocking me for my first 100K month? Like, help me. Like, and then it was like, woof, here you go. So at Warrnambool in Victoria, it was interesting because the whole experience last year was about like helping me to remove the blocks and helping me to remove what was in my way from my wishes, my dreams, my desires, right? Like, yeah, I'd manifest quite a few things, but like the ultimate lifestyle, the ultimate piece of what I've been working on, no. And so like that cleared it out. Now, if you've seen my stories and if you've seen my place and if you remember back where I was in Warrnambool, the houses, like what I'm in now and what I was in at Warrnambool, was very similar. Like I even said to a friend, and I sent like I sent a video, I'm like, this is like a Queenslander house. Like it had the tall ceilings and the VJ walls and everything. Like I guess it was the Victorian houses down there, right? And here now I'm in like a full Queenslander, and I'm like, oh, like it's like full manifestation. Along the timelines, time is like so on my mind lately. It felt like time has speeded up, but this past week, it's been like I don't know what the right words are, working with time, but I've done a lot of work working with time back in 2018 and the time constructs and understanding time, and everyone's like, yeah, instant manifestation, but at the same time, we're in this 3D world and we have to get up and go to work and do all these responsible things in a time construct reality. So how does that work? And so I've been breaking out of the time constructs, right? Now, these timelines are so significant, right? This, a big piece of me going into the time and the timelines and understanding time and the concept to, well, we're in this 3D physical world and we've got to run on time, but there is no time. Well, how do we instantly manifest on time that's in a construct, and how do we expand that? Like, this is what I've been studying for like the past 3 to 4 years, like all the time. Pun intended, right? Now, I received something in the mail this week, and it was a random postcard, and there's so much more to the story, but of someone sitting there with one of those old watches and the time. It was just like flinging side to side, like you could see that's what it would be doing. And I was like, okay then, even more signs, right? Now, when I was at Warrnambool, I had originally only planned to stay in that house for 3 weeks. And then as time came up to the 3 weeks, I was like, oh, I'm not ready to leave yet. Like, I've got more stuff to do. And I ended up being there for 6 weeks. Now, that 6-week point is a birthing point. It's a manifestation point, right? So I talk about the 6 months and then also the 9 months, right? So when we're looking at the 18-month healing cycle or 18-month manifestation cycle, that first 9 months, it's the same as birthing a baby. Like a baby gestates in the belly for 9 to 10 months. Now, it's interesting when we're working on goals, dreams, like whether it's personal, business, whatever we're working on, there's this 9 to 10 month birthing cycle, but then there's an 18-month birthing cycle that goes with that. So another 9 months after it, right? Now, right now, as I said, is 9 months from 9 to 10 months from that April-May eclipse season last year that was really intense for a lot of people. And this right now has been super heavy and really like big in the past 2 weeks for a lot of people, because we're like tail ending and birthing through, and I want to say pushing through, but like breaking the bubble of that reality that this past 9 months of what's been so heavy for a lot of people has been the weight through our physical system, like energetic weight that is like in, the levels of light and the awakening of consciousness on the planet at the moment. A lot of people are awake now. A lot of people are, some people say not enough people are awake, right? But there's a lot of people that are awake and really like coming into like a higher vibration. They're awake, they're conscious, yeah? There's a lot of people like that on the planet right now. And in that, the level of darkness, it cannot stay here. And it was like someone just shared in the full moon ceremony, she's like, it just came out of me. I was like, yeah, because the level of light that we just activated through, it just can't be in that vibration anymore. It's like when you turn a light on in a dark room and like the dark goes, it's not there, right? When the light's on, right? When we bring our conscious awareness to something, the light transforms it, yeah? The light to dark. So the darkness to light. So it's really interesting that this past, these 250K months, like I've been journaling about that for years. Yeah, I'm going to talk about what I've been concentrating and studying time. Money manifestation has been deeply included in that. And so working on if you've been following me for a while, you see me put my prices up, put my prices down. I've been like trying to really work with that. And then even just recently, like I'm not doing clients, I am doing clients. Like people are like, I know what the fuck are you doing, right? And it's like this big process that I've been going through, right? Like breaking through reality, shifting through realities, like really like, knowing that there's a certain lifestyle, there's a certain way and like feeling of me living my life and certain level of freedom in my lifestyle and everyday reality. And like, I think it's got to this point, like, especially in this house, and it's just like, I want to say hit a wall. And it's kind of interesting because at this place, there's there's a lot of birds that come and hit, like, I don't know if it's just because we're a house in the middle of nowhere, like is that why the birds fly? And there seems to be a lot of birds. At times, birds are deeply connected to the heart. And also like when it happened, like it's significant timings when they happen, let's put it that way. And they're not just like a little bird, little dove, they're like big, like birds that I've never seen before. And I don't know. Anyway, this bird had hit the thing. It was like hitting the glass ceiling, like hitting the glass. And it literally sounds, not a gunshot, but it sounded like, what was that? You know, like it's like full pelt. Anyway, some of them survive, some of them don't, unfortunately. But it was like this message was like hitting this glass ceiling, like, you know, and it was like, okay, and I really got that message. It was like, okay, like I understand, like hitting the glass ceiling, you've got to break through the glass ceiling, like, you know, it was interesting. And yeah, so much is falling apart, falling away right now, definitely, Lee, like that's definitely the case. And like when we look at that unpicking of, you know, back in that April, May eclipse, it was almost like that's where it like brought all that out. And as I was showing in the full moon ceremony, it was like sweeping through the forest. So interesting. I keep getting that analogy, like the sieve sifting through our body or sweeping through the forest and like just cleaning out. Like it's really the energy at the moment, right? So interesting. So Lee says, can see my higher timeline so clear lately, but I still feel like I'm hitting a wall. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? Because this is where I've been, like, I've been journaling about 250K months for years, and I'm like, why haven't I stepped into that? Like, when we talk about hitting a glass ceiling, I'm like, oh, right? But it's not just now, like, it's not just now, it's been there for a little bit, but I guess I didn't know what to do, or I don't know how to describe it, right? But whatever shifted today, and this is so important. So Shari says, me too, I just can't be in my home anymore. So this is the thing I really want to share. So I wanted to leave my home. I wanted to move. I think I told you that. I want to go on the ocean or something, whatever I said. But I realized it's not that, or I wanted to go on a holiday or whatever. And like, I still want that. But at the same time, like I haven't finished setting up my house. And I'm like, so I'm wanting to run away because it's empty. It's a house, it's not a home. Like, it's kind of interesting, right? And I was like, oh, like that makes sense because I feel empty, I feel not nourished. It's not where I wanted to be, like, you know, so it's easier to leave than to face what's here in a way, right? It's kind of interesting. So getting back to the point today, this is so important, especially if you work with entity removal, understand darkness, demons, clearing out dark level of whatever it is. This is so important. So you know how I always say, don't just cut cords unless you're gonna heal the reason it was there in the first place. You know how I always say that? That's all really important, right? All of that stuff's really important. Now, everything has a time and a place. Everything has its purpose in a different point in time, in the timeline of your life and what you're going through. Just like I always say, the medical system is there for a reason. You know, if you have a car accident, I'm sure you'd want to go to the hospital. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like everything's got a place, purpose, time, etc. So today was the birthing point for me, working on a year-long project that was like flicking the switch to like, oh my God, it's done, right? Like it's done to be able to use the foundation of what I've been working on this project for the last year. Like today was the day. And all week I'd also known that, right? So today, it was so interesting. I had the most distractions, the most like tired feelings, the most everything, didn't want to do it, right? Tiredness, distractions, it's all it's a distraction and a sabotage to doing your purpose work, right? Like this close to finishing the project after an entire year. Like that's a long time, right? And I was so aware of it. Now, I always say that demons and entities and darkness and distractions and all the sabotage things are like right in your face when you're about to shift to the next level. Like, that's what they're there for. They're like holding on, like, are you really going to do this? Are you sure you want to move to the next level? Are you sure? Like, okay, and just like distraction. I was so conscious of it, right? And like what got, like it was so at this point where I felt like someone was gripping the back of my neck. Like, you know, those kind of ligaments that go up your back, right? I was just like, you know, up the back of the head, back of your skull, oh my goodness. And it just felt like someone was gripping me, and I was so conscious of it, right? And I was like, oh, well, I could do like another like hour. Well, it doesn't take that long, but I could do like 2 hours worth of meditating and journaling and, you know, clearing entities and doing, or I could just sit down and do the freaking thing, right? I could just push all of that out the way and just sit down. And I was so conscious that we're also stepping into divine step number 3, which is willingness. So honesty with your reality, step number 1. Open-mindedness, about having an open mind to different realities, different possibilities, different situations in your life. An open mind to things and solutions you haven't seen before. The willingness to put those divine thoughts, your intuition, into action. The will sits in your base chakra. That's where our purpose is birthed. That's where we birth our projects, our babies, all those things, right? But you have to have a willingness to follow through with what your intuition is guiding you to do, to even do the thing in the first place. Which reminds me, Trust the Intuition is open next week, and that means the inner circle is also open as well. So Trust the Intuition is where you learn to trust your intuition and move all of this out. This is also my healer certification, and the inner circle, you get all of that in there. So the link is in the title of this live stream. You can check it out, and you can also find it on my page as well. So you can find all the details for that, or send me a message, but it does open next week. So trusting your intuition, right? So trusting your intuition and putting it into action. This is where I was at today. All the sabotage came up. All the sabotage came up. Like, all of it. All the sabotage, all the distractions. Like, I wanted to leave the house. I wanted to, like, go to the beach. And, like, hey, fair enough, it was a beautiful day, right? But I knew it was a distraction to finishing a 12-month-long project. Like, huge, right? And at the same time, something was feeling off, and I was like, you know, like, yes, there was this and all of that, and like, I was just like, there was a lot of things, like, it was almost overwhelming with like all the things, and I'm like, what is going on? And this 250K months, like, I've had like like pieces of paper printed out all around my house for years. Like 250K months are normal now. Like, that's the level being playing at, $3 million years. Like, that's the level, that's the vibe. But physical reality, I was like, wow, so I've been working on this. Then with that 9 months clear out today, I'm like, oh, the thing about this gripping on, this was the exact same feeling that I felt when I left living off grid. And I went to Warrnambool and I was floored. It was the exact same feeling. Now at that time back then, which was like, what, 6-8 months ago, I had a healer help remove this. Like, it was so strong, it like paralyzed me. I couldn't get off the floor, sort of thing. Like, it was like paralyzing. Now today, I was like, no, I'm not lying down. No, I'm aware that the tiredness is this. No, I'm not going to go to the beach, and even though I might enjoy it, I would be like, I'd feel agitated because I know I'm not working on the thing that I'm being guided to do. Willingness to trust my intuition of what I'm being guided to finish after 12 months. Like, the distractions and sabotage were huge, right? Like, massive. So this thing, I was so conscious, and I was like, no, like, this is the same thing that was there back when I was at Warrnambool. I was like, no, I'm just gonna do the thing. And so I pushed all that stuff out the way, and I just finished this project. Now, amongst all this project, there's so many moving parts, and it was like something shifted in it that all of a sudden it was like, I need to put my prices up. And I was just like, it wasn't even a thought. It was just like, roof, and I got my pen and paper and I just wrote down all the prices for all my programs. And I was like, oh, and like instantly, that disappeared. It let go. It literally let go. I was just like, I feel normal. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I didn't feel distracted. I was just like, that's the prices. And after all this time of up, down, change, I was just like, wow, this feeling, this feeling is the one I've been journaling about. How I would be feeling if my lifestyle was da-da-da-da-da-da. How would you be feeling? Well, I'd be feeling this, like, instantaneously. And that thing gripping on the back of my neck, it's gone. Why? Because I came into full alignment. Entities, darkness and stuff, they will be there to pull you down, to distract you, to not let you do the thing, right? And this is the willingness of your intuitive guidance, your intuition, and the willingness in your base chakra to action that, no matter how many distractions, no matter how much sabotage, no matter how tired you think you are. Like, no, you're avoiding doing the thing that you're being guided to do. Huge. Like, that was massive. You know, like last time I got a healer to clear me, and like whilst that worked, like obviously I've still been in this, like, you know, level vibration, whatever you want to call it. It's like, no, it's time to shift now. It's like, oh my God. And for the first time, all my prices of all my offerings feel completely like, oh, I'm like, cool, I can get on with the next thing now. It's like all this trying to figure everything out. It's like, wow, why did it take me that long? Or it was not even that. It's just like, wow, all that like confusion and stuff, mucking around with it. I'm like, oh my God. So 250K months, that's where I've been playing out. Like, but you know, in that whole like releasing and the letting go, like what that was is like, I can't really describe it, right? But I call it alignment. That is alignment. That feeling, that's alignment. It was almost like, if I could describe it, like I was just like, whoa. Like when I wrote down, like literally finished writing down instant, and it was almost like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like I was over here, and it was like I came in and I was like, oh. It's like, oh, it's interesting. And so the left side, so this is my left side, that's the past. So I was like stuck in the past in a way. I don't know. It's pretty deep and intricate. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I know, it's felt cool to share that. Like we came out of the full moon ceremony, and like I went into a bit in this full moon ceremony as well, and like the diving of the deep subconscious of what we did today in the full moon ceremony was different. It was different and deeply activating and deeply here. Like it just did a like portal. Yeah, it was like it's shimmering and sparkling. I don't know if you guys can see it or feel it. Like it was like, that was a different full moon ceremony. So yeah, so awesome. I'm like, oh cool, I can just get on with the thing now, you know, like, but honestly, like that level of distraction, I know I was conscious where it's like full moon rising, like all of that, I was so conscious of all of it. But you know, like I would be feeling so bad now, so agitated, so angry because I didn't put my intuitive guidance into action. That's the willingness to trust spirit, like your base chakra is where your will is. It's your base chakra, it's your life purpose, it's the physical reality, it's finances, it's safety, it's sexuality, it's all those things. It's also where when we have a baby in our belly, we birth it through our base chakra. Like we literally birth our reality that way. And if we're not listening and actioning base chakra, actioning the divine guidance and intuitive messages that we receive through our, like all the way through an action, like that's the birthing, right? We action it. Push all the distractions out of the way. That's what makes us stronger. That's what shifts our reality, because we're actioning the messages we've been receiving. And if we don't, we get tired, worn out, grabbed on, all the things, because we're not listening to our intuition. It's simple. It's like it's like staying in a toxic, unhealthy relationship because you're not listening to intuition, and things get worse and bad, and it takes ages to pull yourself back out from it because you haven't been listening to intuition for so long. You're like lost in the darkness, and so no wonder there's all these entities and stuff on you. Like you're like hiding in this hole. Like no more hiding. That's what it feels like for me as well. It's just like, man, like, woof, okay, cool. And I like all of a sudden I'm like, sweet, I can do these things now. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, right? Yeah. So do you have any questions about what I've shared? I know I've kind of like deep dived into pretty big stuff, but energetically, like it's so significant. And the timeline as well, like, oh, that's insane, right? Super, super, like those 9 to 10 month portals and the 18-month cycle and the thing, like it's just, yeah, feeling that right now. Exactly, right? Like you can feel it. It's just, whew. I call it alignment. I can't describe it any other word than alignment. It's like, oh, there it is. It's here now. Stay here. But it's like, oh, there it is. And it's like, you know, and that's the thing. When we are on path, everything else happens effortlessly because we're on that in alignment. It's alignment. So in the Virgo full moon tonight, it's all about alignment. No, it is about cleaning out all the dregs, like sorting out all the details. Virgo is very detailed perfectionist, sorting the details, right? And it feels like exactly what it is as well. So it's all cleared out. So it is really exciting. And it's exciting because Trust Intuition opens next week. And if I wasn't trusting my intuition the whole time, even about getting on the road, like last year, because I had kept having visions of men in big white puffy suit coming around and force vaccinating us. Like I literally, that's what got me in the car. Obviously people have said to me like, well, that didn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, let's not even go there. But it was like, there's, like I keep saying, there's so many reasons that Spirit got me on that road trip. And one of them was to clear that level of darkness out of my system, that I needed to do such a big movement to be able to like have the conscious clarity about what that even was. And then here we are 9 months later, like shifted into this alignment, because now that level of darkness is not in my system. It's like the light can come in now, the alignment can come in now. It's like, you know, and if you're not trusting intuition, none of that happens. None of that happens. It's not easy to trust intuition because of all the hurt and pain and trauma and self-doubt that's been perpetuated from all the people around us our entire life. And then we start trusting our intuition, but all these bad things happen, but they're not bad. It's like looking at, look what it's clearing out, so then you can come into that level of alignment. But it's not easy, and this is where having the support of a tribe, which is what Trust Intuition gives you. And also if you want the inner circle, this is where my 12-month container, where you are fully supported in that environment to be able to have that person who can reflect. This is where you work one-on-one with me for 12 months, as well as getting access to everything I ever create in the next 12 months and everything that I have created in forever. It's all yours. Get access to all of that. But the one-on-one access that you have to me enables you to have unlimited support and going like, eek, what's happening? And then I intuitively give you that reflection about what is going on, so that you're able to really come into that sense of who you are without needing to hide, without doubting yourself, so that you can fly forward and not go through the same mistakes or take as long to realize what you have, because you've got that support, that guidance, that reflection right there in front of you. So yeah, yes. I just checking if there's any other comments on here, and I will drop the link in as well. Lee says, yeah, I haven't been trusting. Yeah, and that's when this like drops in, right? And this is where you've seen me do it. Like, it's not easy. Like, I'm like, yes, no. And now I'm like, woof, like after today, after that 12-month long project, like today I finished on the full moon, of course. Yeah, it's fully amazing, like full, I don't know, like at the fullness. They always say that the full moon is where things come into full alignment. Yeah, they come into fruition, they come to their fruitfulness. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'm just gonna drop that link in the comments first though, or is in the title of the live stream as well. If you've got any questions about it, it is by application only, the inner circle, so you can send me a message and we can have a chat and see if it's aligned for you, if that's the right program for you. In that space, it is the Life Purpose Accelerator. You're so welcome, Shari. Thanks for joining live, guys. This powerful full moon where everything comes to fruition, all the realizations come to pass. That's what I feel like it's about for sure. All right, love you and leave you. Mwah. Bye.